I've been asked, how did you ever get interested in studying happiness? Well, I'm glad you asked. Stick around and I'll share. Welcome to the Cultivate Happiness channel. I'm Chris Howlett. Thanks for asking about how I got interested in the study of happiness, or how I got interested in studying happiness. I'm glad that you asked. I'm going to share the answer to that, or somewhat of the answer to that, in this video. This is one of two videos that will be posted while I'm on vacation. So I'm here in my home office, different location, but I'm kind of digging this, kind of enjoying this location for shooting videos. The others I've been standing up. This one I'm sitting down, so I think it's a little more comfortable, and maybe we'll have some more videos from here in the future. So, how did I ever get interested in happiness? Well, first of all, every single person in the world, every person that's ever been born, that's ever lived, that's ever had a thought that can think, are interested in happiness. Everyone's interested in happiness. Everyone wants to be happy. This is just a universal human experience. And so I'm just like everyone else. I want to be happy. And so happiness is a topic that's interesting to me. Learning more about happiness, learning what it means to be happy, and learning how you can achieve happiness, how you can pursue happiness. Talked about in the last video the fact that we are guaranteed the right as Americans, United States of America, Americans, we're guaranteed that right to pursue happiness. We acknowledge that. The Constitution doesn't guarantee it. The Declaration of Independence doesn't guarantee it. The government doesn't guarantee it. But God has given us this right to pursue happiness. And that's what people do. That's what everybody does. Everybody wants happiness. Everybody wants to be happy. I've never met any person in this whole world that said they didn't want to be happy. Everybody is pursuing happiness. So happiness, because it's a universal desire, a universal longing, something that interests me very much. And not just how I can pursue happiness, how I can attain happiness, but how you can attain happiness, how you can pursue happiness, how you can be a happier person, have a more fulfilling, meaningful life, a flourishing life. So what got me going down this happiness journey was a book that I read many, many years ago. It was early 2000s. A book titled Now Discover Your Strengths. It was written by Donald Clifton and Marcus Buckingham, and it's published by the Gallup organization. Donald Clifton was a psychologist, and he worked in industry, in business, and consulting with business leaders on how to run their businesses efficiently, primarily how to deal with employees. And so it was through his research that he came up with this idea of strengths, and then some other researchers came behind him in the field of positive psychology, which is a relatively new field. It was very new then, and talked about human strengths, that the best use of your time, the best use of resources in training employees and helping your workplace flow better and helping your workplace be more productive is investing in people learning about their talents so that they could grow those talents into strengths. What really kind of piqued my curiosity was the idea that a lot of businesses spend a lot of time and a lot of money, a lot of energy sending their employees on trainings and seminars and to conferences to shore up their weaknesses. It's like you take these tests, you try to figure out your personality type, you try to figure out who you are, you try to figure out your strengths and your weaknesses, and then once you discover what those weaknesses are, you're going to go and spend a lot of time and energy working on those weaknesses and pulling up those weaknesses so that they're not dragging you down. The problem with that is that nobody likes working on their weaknesses, first of all. Second of all, working on your weaknesses has a limited return on investment. Because unless a weakness is a real barrier to your success, then that weakness probably needs to be mostly ignored, so that you're not working in that area of weakness. Rather, you're going to work in your areas of talent or strengths. So this book was all about learning about your talents, learning about your strengths, and developing those talents into strengths so that you could be the most effective person that you could be in your workplace. It's primarily a career-oriented book. But that got me started down the road of studying positive psychology, which the concept of strengths is a part of that study. And I didn't even know about positive psychology. Never heard of positive psychology. Didn't know a whole lot about psychology, actually. But this really grabbed my interest because positive psychology is the study of optimal human functioning. Most other psychology up until the early 2000s, or really before that, but this is when it became popular and widespread, and there was lots of study done. A fellow by the name of Dr. Martin Seligman became the president of the American Psychological Association, and that was his specialty, was positive psychology. He kind of stumbled into that himself in his own research. But anyway, the idea of psychology for most of the history of psychology has been the study of mental illness and how to help people get over, be healed, get better in their areas of mental brokenness or mental illness. And so it's almost like a focus on what's gone wrong and how to help people become right or become better. And so that was the focus of psychology. But now these other researchers, Donald O. Clifton and Martin Seligman and others, came along and said, well, what would it look like for us to determine what optimal human functioning is, what a flourishing life is, what a happy life is, and help people pursue that, help people grow in their experience of happiness or fulfillment in life. A life of wholeness. And this sprang up this whole new field. And I started reading about that, and I started learning about that. And then when I decided to pursue a doctorate, that became the focus of my research, was this combination, or not the combination really, but the intersection between positive psychology and spirituality, religion. Because it's interesting, I don't have time to go over it in this video, but I do want to do a video on this. It's interesting to study the religious background of positive psychology, because this whole idea of talents and strengths comes from what's called wisdom literature, primarily wisdom literature in the Christian and Jewish tradition, the Old Testament and the New Testament, of what is a character strength, what is a virtue, how to live a virtuous life. And this is all tied into Aristotle, his discussion of virtues, but it goes far beyond that in developing these virtues, these talents, developing your talents, which are the seeds of character strengths, into those very strengths and that virtuous way of living and making a difference, making an impact. Positive psychology is very much aligned with this idea that you're here to make a difference. That the most optimal life that you can live is a life investing in the lives of others. And relationships obviously are important. Part of that, so relationships, your work life, which is so important because you spend so much of your time at work, but also that's where you're able, hopefully, to make a contribution, but also your volunteer life. And then in developing a positive attitude, an attitude of optimism, which again ties into the scripture, because God is the most optimistic being there is. If you were God, or if I were God, we'd have probably given up on the human race a long time ago, because humans can be really hurtful and really negative and what we would call sinful and broken and do evil things and things that hurt other people. We have this propensity towards self-centered and selfish living. So if you were God or I were God, I probably would have wiped out the human race a long time ago, but God didn't, because God is bullish on humanity. He's optimistic about humanity. So there again, there's another connection between this new discipline of positive psychology and our religious faith. And so that fascinated me, and that's primarily what I wrote my dissertation about, and what I continue to study and pursue. And this YouTube channel is kind of just an outflow of that, of my desire to help other people experience lives of meaning, of hopefulness, of optimism, ultimately of happiness. So that's kind of a long explanation in this short video of how I became interested in positive psychology and the study of happiness. Thanks for stopping by the Cultivate Happiness channel. Thanks for watching this video. If you like this video, be sure and hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, if you have any questions or comments, please leave those in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you and hear any questions that you have. Give me some ideas for some future videos. Thanks again for stopping by. I hope you have a happy day.